Few Hollywood stories shimmer and fracture quite like that of Terrence Howard. For decades, he has been a paradox in motion, a man of astonishing talent and relentless controversy, whose voice can shift from a whisper of poetry to the roar of a wounded philosopher. As of now, Terrence Howard's net worth is estimated at around $5 million. Once among television's highest-paid actors, Howard's fortune has ebbed under the weight of legal disputes, tax debts, and personal entanglements. But numbers alone don't capture him. His wealth, in truth, lies in something stranger, a mind bursting with invention, rebellion, and restlessness. Howard isn't just an actor. He's an Oscar nominee, a self-proclaimed scientist, a sculptor, a singer, a man chasing the edges of the universe with ideas that most of the world calls madness. His story is both a cautionary tale and a symphony of survival, and it begins in a rough corner of Chicago. Early life. Childhood in chaos. Terrence Howard was born on March 11, 1969, in Chicago, Illinois, to Tyrone Howard and Anita Williams Howard. His lineage carried a blend of African-American and English roots, and artistry flowed through his blood. His great-grandmother, Minnie Gentry, was a respected stage actress in the Harlem theater scene. But Terrence's earliest memories were marked not by applause, but by violence. When he was barely 2 years old, tragedy struck in what became known as the Santa line slaying. In a department store queue to see Santa Claus, young Terrence watched his father stab another man to death during an argument. The event would haunt him for life. His father served 11 months for manslaughter, and the family shattered soon after. Terrence was shuffled between relatives, enduring a childhood riddled with instability, poverty, and emotional neglect. He later revealed that his father's anger and his mother's absence left deep scars. But there was one anchor, his great-grandmother Minnie, who took him in, fed him art and faith, and told him he was meant to build worlds. When she died in 1993, Howard said, "I lost the only person who ever saw the light in me." Education and early curiosity. Howard was an unusually bright, curious student with a stubborn streak. In school, he struggled not with learning, but with authority. "I never liked being told what 2 plus 2 was," he later quipped, a line that would come to define both his genius and his chaos. After high school, Howard enrolled at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, where he studied chemical engineering. His fascination with the structure of matter, the idea that everything could be understood through pattern and proportion, began here. But acting's call was stronger than equations. By his early 20s, Howard left Pratt before earning his degree, chasing auditions instead of formulas. Years later, he would receive an honorary doctorate of humane letters from South Carolina State University. But his thirst for theoretical science never left him. It simply mutated into something the world would later call teriology. Personal life. The many loves of Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard's love life reads like a storm, beautiful, wild, and destructive. His first great love was Lori McCommas, whom he married in 1993. Together, they had 3 children, Aubrey, Heaven, and Hunter. Their love was passionate but turbulent. Police reports and restraining orders shadowed the marriage. They divorced in 2001, remarried in 2005, and separated again in 2007. In 2010, he wed Michelle Ghent, a union that quickly descended into courtroom warfare. Ghent accused him of domestic abuse and secured multiple restraining orders. Howard countersued, claiming extortion and emotional manipulation. Their divorce, finalized in 2013, was financially devastating, a bitter fight that drained much of his wealth. By 2015, Howard found new peace with Mira Pak, a former model and restaurateur. The couple have 2 sons, Qirin Love and Hero. They too divorced briefly before rekindling their relationship in 2018, sealing their reunion with a quiet engagement. Through all his turmoil, Howard remains devoted to his 5 children, and now to his grandchildren from daughter Aubrey. Faith, philosophy, and teriology. Howard's beliefs defy conventional boxes. He does not identify strictly with any religion, though he often invokes God, geometry, and destiny in the same sentence. Over time, he built an intellectual framework he calls teriology, his personal interpretation of the universe. In this system, Howard argues that 1 times 1 is equal to 2, challenges the existence of zero, and describes mathematical relationships through shapes and resonance rather than arithmetic. He has even designed intricate metal sculptures that he claims demonstrate universal harmonics. Scientists roll their eyes. Howard shrugs. Math is just a language, he says. I speak it differently. Legal and financial battles. Howard's temper and transparency have often collided with the law. He has been arrested on domestic violence charges, entangled in tax evasion cases, and locked in years-long lawsuits over unpaid earnings from Empire. In 2024, court filings revealed nearly $900,000 in unpaid federal taxes, alongside ongoing disputes with his former agency CAA over allegedly lost commissions. These conflicts, along with divorce settlements, sharply reduced his fortune. Yet through it all, Howard remains strangely defiant. They can take money, he once told Rolling Stone. They can't take the formulas in my head. Professional career. Humble beginnings. Terrence's road to stardom began in the early 90s. His first screen appearances came in The Cosby Show and Family Matters, but he got his real break in 1995's Mr. Holland's Opus and Dead Presidents. Hollywood noticed the young actor's magnetism, a blend of wounded vulnerability and street-tough conviction. Breakthrough, hustle, and flow. In 2005, Howard's career exploded with Hustle and Flow. As DJ, the Memphis pimp chasing redemption through hip-hop, Howard delivered a raw, electrifying performance. He rapped his own verses, bared his own soul, and gave us one of cinema's most memorable lines. It's hard out here for a pimp. That song went on to win the Academy Award for Best Original Song, and Howard earned an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. A rare feat for a film born from the streets. Overnight, he became Hollywood royalty. The Marvel chapter, then the fallout. In 2008, Howard entered blockbuster territory as Colonel James Rhodey Rhodes in Iron Man. It was a landmark role, Marvel's first cinematic outing, and Howard was the highest paid actor on the film, even above Robert Downey Jr. But after the movie's success, disputes erupted. Marvel reportedly slashed his salary for Iron Man 2 by as much as 80%. Feeling betrayed, Howard walked. The role was recast with Don Cheadle, and Hollywood whispers branded Howard difficult. It was a career-changing moment, a reminder that talent, no matter how luminous, can flicker under the politics of power. Television triumph, Empire. Then came redemption. In 2015, Howard took on Lucius Lyon, the ruthless, charismatic music mogul at the center of Fox's empire. The show became a cultural phenomenon, a Shakespearean saga dressed in diamonds, beats, and betrayal. As Lucius, Howard was both king and villain, the father clawing for immortality, the artist drowning in ego. His performance was hypnotic, brutal, and unforgettable. At his peak, he reportedly earned $175,000 per episode, amassing tens of millions through Empire's 6-season run. More than that, he became a face of black excellence on primetime television, complicated, unfiltered, and majestic. When the show ended in 2020, Howard stunned fans by announcing his retirement from acting. "I've spent 37 years pretending to be people," he said. "Now I want to be Terrence." Yet, even in retirement, the artist in him refused to rest. Beyond acting, the inventor and the musician. In 2008, Howard released an R&B jazz album titled Shine Through It. It was soft, romantic, and introspective, part love letter, part confessional. Critics called it uneven but soulful, reflecting the man behind the myth. Away from cameras, Howard devoted himself to his inventions. He began designing molecular geometry sculptures, using copper and aluminum to form what he called flower of life structures. He claimed these represented new physical principles, ways of understanding gravity and sound. In 2023, he unveiled prototypes of drone wings and fluid motion propellers, insisting they could redefine aerodynamics. While mainstream scientists remain skeptical, the passion behind his vision is undeniable. Howard's creative reach may seem eccentric, but to him it's all one art form. Acting, math, music, all part of the same melody. As he puts it, house tour and car collection. Howard lives quietly compared to many Hollywood peers. His past residences included a Los Angeles hillside property with sweeping views of the city, filled with wooden sculptures and framed equations. Friends describe it as part museum, part laboratory, walls etched with symbols, shelves lined with copper models, and soft jazz playing at all hours. He has also spent time in Philadelphia and Chicago, often dividing his days between family and private study. While he has owned several luxury vehicles over the years, including a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a Range Rover, and a Tesla Model X, Howard's relationship with machines is less about glamour than engineering. Engines talk, he once said. You just have to listen to their rhythm. College career and the birth of teleology. Though he left Pratt Institute before graduation, Howard often calls those years the seed of everything. He believed that conventional equations left too many questions unanswered. Over time, he began developing his own system of mathematics, a philosophy he named teleology. In interviews, he's explained how he spent 17 hours a day for years building this new logic, convinced that traditional math suppresses the true harmony of numbers. He has lectured informally at universities, spoken at engineering conventions, and even filed preliminary patents for geometric frameworks. His followers, a small but devoted group of thinkers, artists, and spiritualists, view him as a kind of modern-day Da Vinci. Critics see delusion, admirers see daring. Howard himself sees destiny. They laughed at Galileo too, he says, half smiling. Later years and reflections, 2023 to 2025. Since stepping back from acting, Terrence Howard has embraced his role as philosopher-inventor. He's given sporadic interviews, focusing on environmental technology, geometry, and metaphysics. In 2024, he was spotted at a renewable energy summit in Uganda, promoting sacred geometry-based propulsion. He remains active on social media, where he posts diagrams, poems, and videos of his scientific musings, alternately inspiring and baffling his audience. Friends describe him as calmer now, grounded by fatherhood and age. Yet his fire hasn't dimmed. I'm not done, he told Essence in early 2025. I just changed stages. As of today, Terrence Howard is alive. Rumors of his death have occasionally circulated online, but there are no credible reports to support them. He continues to work privately, appearing at select events, and speaking passionately about science, art, and family. Terrence Howard's life is the ultimate study in contradiction. He is brilliant yet self-sabotaging, spiritual yet volatile, adored yet misunderstood. He has starred in blockbusters and indie masterpieces, sung on Oscar-winning soundtracks, and then turned away from Hollywood entirely to chase the mathematics of the cosmos. His personal storms, the arrests, the divorces, the lawsuits, are undeniable. Yet beneath them lies a constant theme, a man searching for order in chaos. Howard's story reminds us that genius rarely arrives tidy. It comes cracked, blazing human. It falls and rises, doubts and dreams, destroys and rebuilds. When the final chapter of Terrence Howard's life is written, he won't just be remembered for hustle and flow or empire. He'll be remembered as a man who refused to be ordinary, who believed that art, science, and soul were one language, and spent his whole life trying to speak it.